I'm going to go ahead and push record. All right, so today we're getting into some media basics. What those are, I've got, first off, let's start things off with some examples. I went and pulled up some different themes and stuff online. Okay? And I want you guys to tell me who's the target audience of this website. All right, so I'm just going to scroll around so you guys can kind of get a look at the website. Okay, a lot of furniture or something, different things. Target audience. Kate, who do you think?
Rich Hipsters.
Kate, that's not your name. Rich Sisters? Or what'd you say?
Rich Hipsters.
Oh, hipsters. Rich hipsters. Okay, I was like, rich sisters. That's what they do. Like, hey, let's go buy some furniture today. Online. Together. It's weird. All right. Rich hipsters. All right, back to Kate. Anything else you think?
I probably say moms.
Moms?
Yeah, I could
Okay. So she actually went a step level down below you because she actually said females and specifically, mothers. Okay. What kind of mothers would you say, Kate?
People that want to meet their husband better.
Okay. Anything else that we got? What kind of attributes or what kinds of characteristics might these rich hipster moms have? Gustavo, what do you think? What other kind of attributes can we see to target these people? They have a house. They're homeowners. Hey, there's probably a pretty good chance that, maybe an apartment you're not going to see this cool wooden lamp. Maybe not. Jesus, what do you think? What are you working on over there? Doing some Illustrator? A logo? I don't know. I can see your screen there, by the way. Just watching. I know, I'm just messing with you right now. Okay. What kind of age demographics are we looking at? 8-year-olds? What age? Yeah. What age limit? What age range are we looking at? Within 10 years? What do you guys think? Michaela? Which one's Michaela? You're Michaela. Okay. And then you're something with an M. Hang on. Totally forgetting. Okay. What's your name? Miley. Oh, yeah. Okay. Michaela.
8.
Yeah. Within 10 years. What do you think?
I would say
20s, 30s?
late 20s.
Late 20s? Why do you say that?
Because it looks like a younger, style. Like, I don't think my parents would buy something like that, but I would.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that one? Let's say parents with little kids, are they really going to buy this stuff?
No.
Okay, first off, let's be honest here. If you have little kids, you have no money. All right? There's no such thing. Money and children don't exist at the same time. All right? What's that?
It'll be destroyed.
And it'll be destroyed. Me and my wife decided long ago that we're okay not having nice things until the kids are gone because they're going to destroy it anyways, right? So it feels a little bit more expensive, though, doesn't it? Kind of store. So do you still think the 20-year-olds are going to spend money on online furniture? Who has kids here? Anybody? Just throw me hand if you guys got kids. All right, we're definitely a younger class. Cool. Sisters, brothers with kids, maybe? Anybody out there? Would they buy furniture like this?
No.
So, you still think so, or are you thinking differently?
Well,
So,
I just think,
you have a sister with little kids.
Yeah, and she, this is her style.
She would do that?
Like this.
Okay.
And not I don't know, not necessarily.
All right, so you can kind of think they probably need to make some money. Probably more urban. She's saying younger. Maybe you got little kids and they don't know little kids can destroy stuff yet. Or you got some money in there. Their kids are almost out or something. They're hipsters. We're kind of finding all these target demographics. when you guys are designing your websites, do you guys feel that there are certain ways to design a website for certain people? Okay. If I have an example up here, let me. It's a carpentry website. What kinds of elements would you say would go into this? First off, what target demographics would you target if you were doing a carpentry website? Men, okay. So what else might we do? Yeah.
Men who are carpenters.
Men who are carpenters, good. Anything else? Think about this, guys, because I'm going to pull it up and we're going to see if you're on or not. So far, you actually are. Pictures of men who are carpenters is exactly what's going to come up. Anything else? Are color schemes going to matter? What kind of color schemes would you guys expect in a carpentry? Huh? You want a deep blue? Now tell me, is that your color preference, or is that the target color preference?
Very common construction color.
Okay. You see blues in the health industry a lot, healing, stuff like that. I mean, you guys can go look up logo color industry. Let's just see if we can pull something up here. You'll go. Make your brand big with the right color. So they're saying healthcare is green in this case. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but entertainment, real estate. I think these guys are way off. Maybe. I don't know if I value these guys' opinion as much here. Let's do logo color meaning. That one's probably a good one right there. You guys see that right here? Optimism, friendly, trust, you know, blue, peaceful, balance. Any of these might work for kind of a color, a certain color for a carpentry website. You still like the blue? Anybody else? Opinion? Benson, you got opinion? You like purple for the male carpentry website? It is creative. There's a lot of meaning behind these. The example they pulled up, it's a lot of browns, a lot of guys working on, you know, different things was the example here. But doesn't this make you feel like this is directed towards men? You know, of that age range, wood everywhere, guys holding stuff, different furniture that's out there. But gives that feeling. Do you guys think that they nailed the target demographics in this case? Possibly. All right, we've got another one here. Who's the target demographics of this, just immediately? Women. What else? Think that's a gardening website? I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you, but it's pretty. You know, definitely women. You probably pick some age ranges, things like that. Another example I pulled up here, you know, this is people are, it looks like they're looking for donations or something. Probably some moms maybe, I don't know. But where I'm going with this whole discussion is you got to figure out who your target demographics are, okay? Because if you can figure that out, then you're going to be able to design the website for those people. You know, anybody ever taken an art class in here? Okay. And when you guys are, you know, maybe looking at a painting or something like that, often, you know, you're critiquing it, you're looking at it, and you're thinking, what was the artist going through when they did this painting this time in their life, and, you know, what kind of pains and whatever, you know what I'm talking about? The kind of artsy-fartsy fluff that they come up with. I'm just kidding. But you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Do we do that with websites? Do we pull that up and be like, well, when the web designer in his life, you know, was going through, you know, this difficult time, he decided to make, you know, a lot of browns and pictures with guys working in a wood shop or something. I mean, do we do that? I don't think anybody does that. So when you guys are painting a painting, you guys can put your soul into it. That's fine. When you guys are building a website, you do that. She really likes blue, but maybe we're designing a website that doesn't or probably shouldn't have blue. Do you go blue, or do you do what's going to work for the users. What do you guys think? For the users, okay? Garrett, question. Working on a website for a client, and the client loves the color pink for whatever reason, and she wants pink everywhere, but let's say it's a carpentry website, but she loves pink so much and wants a pink website. And it's going against everything that you say or you think should happen. What do you do?
Well, and I'll strongly inform her that that's not going to work, but if she insists on paying me money, I'll give her a pink website.
Okay. Anybody else?
Oh, you
Jared, what do you think?
I would say that you can advise them, but at the end of the day, if it's their money,
Mhm.
you are there to work for them.
Okay. All right. Lena?
If she really wants pink, maybe use girls as like the ones holding the boards and stuff.
Okay.
So, like,
Yeah. You need to spend time educating your client on why we do certain things. Do a competitive analysis. Pull up competitors. Say, here's why they're doing it, and this is why they're succeeding. This is why your pink's probably not, working for you. And that's kind of an extreme example, but if we're doing a website for kids, what kinds of elements would we see on the screen? Colorful, big, bright colors, right? Anything else? Maybe big shapes, flashy stuff whipping around. Fun and exciting. Good. So I want you guys thinking about that when you guys get into your designs, because you guys are going to have to do that. Okay. Next, what I wanted to look at here is browser compatibility. Okay. Pulled up this can I use before, and you guys we'll pull up, let's say, Gradient, and you can see that gradients on a browser are not going to work in Internet Explorer 8. It's not going to work in Opera Mini at all. That's kind of an older one. Maybe let's see, animations working here. I know I found one the other day. We were talking about Grid. It's not going to be supported. What you're going to find on different browsers, your stuff's going to work and look a little bit differently. Has anybody ever seen that before? You pull up in one browser, looks fine. You pull up another browser, looks all screwed up. Anybody ever seen that? Throw up a hand if you guys have. Okay, fun, some of you guys. When you guys do your final projects, we're actually going to do that in here. We're going to pull up everybody's website. Some of you guys who have, Windows laptops will pull it up on Edge, and we'll do some different things there. You need to make sure that your page is going to work in all browsers. Okay. And not only that, but all devices as well. We're going to talk about that a little later on. Before I do, though, I'm going to pull up my settings here, and I have my display here. And if you look at my display scaled, you can see I have a resolution of 1920 by 200. Right? You guys see that? What is that exactly? What do you think, Miley? It does make it more clear, but why does it make it more clear? Yeah, but why? What is like 1 of 1920? What does that actually mean? Do you know? It is a pixel. What is a pixel then? You just heard of it and you don't. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Go ahead here, New York. Did you have a hand up?
Yeah.
What is a pixel?
Something goes up on the screen.
It goes up on the screen.
Yeah.
This is on the screen. Is that a pixel?
It's made up of pixels.
Huh?
It's made up.
Made up of pixels. So what's a pixel then?
Thing that makes up what's on the screen.
Killing me. It's a little dot, right? You guys see that little bar that goes across right there? There's a good chance that's 1 or 2 pixels wide right there. That little itty bitty little line. And if I was to go through from this pixel right here all the way down to the bottom, I could count up 1,200 pixels. That's actually probably 2 pixels right there. But I could count up 1,200 pixels from top to bottom, and I could count up 1,920 across my screen. And if I change that to a 1600 by 1000, is my font going to stay the same? Is it going to get larger or will it get smaller? It'll get larger. Why? Yeah, there's less pixels. Like this box right here might be, I don't know, 400 pixels wide. And if I go down to 1600, or that's probably like a 600 pixel or something. If I go down to 1600, then those pixels are larger. Therefore, that box, 600 larger pixels, is going to make a wider box. Does that make sense to you guys? Now, when we used to design websites, most computers are the same. You know, for a long time we had these 15-inch monitors. We had these 17-inch monitors. We went up to these 19-inch monitors, and then widescreens came out. And widescreens were like a 21, and 24s got really popular, and then we started seeing some 27s, and these resolutions changed with each of those monitors. Okay. Now there's something called DPI or PPI. Has anybody ever heard of that term before? Dots per inch. Okay. So I literally could put a ruler on my screen here, and I could count up 72 dots across the screen. You know, if it was on a 72 pixels per inch or dots per inch, ratio. We saw your phones come out, and you guys are holding your phones up to your faces all the time, right? I don't even know where my phone's over there recording. And you guys, wake up in bed and you look in your phone. Could you see the pixels if it was a 72 DPI? Possibly. Could you see them if it was that close? Maybe. Okay. Have you guys ever got up really close to your television and saw where you could see each little dot? Okay. Each little dot is a different color. And you could see that. And then when you went to like a 4K and you get up close, you can't really see those dots anymore. So phones are up close to everybody's faces, and so they started increasing that DPI or PPI, and they went up to, 150 to 300. I think the iPhones are somewhere like 400 range or something like that now. That means that every inch, rather than 72 dots across, there's 400 dots across, so it's much tighter. So you had all these different resolutions coming out, which caused a problem, because back in the day, most resolutions were like a 1280 by 1024. And when I designed a website, I could make my website this wide. And I would know that my website would probably work on every device. Would that work on a mobile device? It wouldn't. And so they said, oh crap, I'm not able to, I'm going to have to pinch and squeeze that website in and out. And then I have some websites that are crazy wide, huge. And so it caused all these different problems. And so we saw something come out which is called responsive layout. Okay, I think I might have shown this before. I'm going to show it again really quick. Before we had a static width. Okay, and much like your websites, well, you guys are going to find that your websites that you're building in this class, up until we hit the responsive section, are going to be static websites. Oh, sorry, I'm a fat liar. They're going to be liquid. I'm going to show you why. But essentially, they don't change. As I make my screen in and out, they stay the same. And as I go in smaller, I get these cute little scroll bars I can scroll back and forth with, right? Does that really work well on mobile, guys? Not so much, right? And so rather than having a width of like a certain percent, or a certain, 960 pixels, 1,000 pixels, that could be seen in a lot of these resolutions that we've been dealing with. Okay, where's my resolutions here again? I think it's behind here. Oh, well, yeah, there it is. That website could be seen without problems on a 1024 or a 1280 by 1024. Could be seen. But then we saw really wide ones come in these big wide bars, and so we started building wider websites. So a lot of people started taking their website and they put it on a percentage-based width. They said, I'm going to make my screen go all the way across like a 95%, and this website would move, and it could get bigger and it could fill, okay? And it could go all the way down to a mobile, but does that look good right there? Does it look kind of stupid having this content hanging out? Off the side you can see the summary here, and these menus look kind of dumb and didn't really work very well. And so after that they developed something else called responsive. Now when I say responsive, I'm really talking about two different elements. One's going to be called adaptive and one's called responsive. Adaptive is just like your static, but basically it says when you get really tight where it's going to start squishing it and scroll bars are going to come up, make it smaller. And you can see that snapping right there, okay? That's what we call adapting. It's adapting to the screen size, and it gets a little smaller, and it adapts down a little smaller. You notice that that title bar went away over here? Okay, when I go in there, it actually moves it, puts it down at the bottom, and makes it all the way across now. And when I go really small, everything's kind of all the way across. That's an adaptive. And then they came out with one called responsive, which is just like adaptive, but it also shifts kind of like liquid. But when you get into certain areas where stuff's getting crunched, like right there, it drops that bar. Okay? So this allowed us to take websites and make them mobile friendly. So when you guys are testing websites, you need to make sure they're working on all browsers, working on all resolutions, working for mobile, stuff like that. That you're targeting these clients or these users with the color schemes that are going to work for them, the images that are going to work for them, stuff like that. Does that make sense to you guys? Garrett?
So that's liquid adaptive right there?
Yeah, but we call it responsive.
They're responsive, the same as liquid adaptive.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. All right. Let's talk about, I refer to this as crap. And you'll see why. I'm just going to use this browser here just because we're recording, and I want online students to be able to see what we're typing out here. Okay, so let's do a new file really quick here. There's an acronym called CRAP. You can have a nicer version. CRAP, you guys seem to remember. You could call it PARC or something, or CARP. I mean, I don't really care what you guys, CRAP you're not going to forget. Stands for C-R-A-P. Has anybody ever heard of this before? This is what we call the principles of design, okay? Crap. The first one is contrast. Second one, repetition. Third one, alignment and proximity. There are definitely questions on your midterm exam about this, and you will definitely be held to these principles when you guys are turning in your final projects. And if your design's way off and you've got some problems with one of these, I'm going to call you out on it, okay? Let's talk about contrast first. Keyman, tell me your name again. Tell me your name again. Dallin. Okay, Dallin. Sorry, my bad, Dallin. Dallin, in your mind, what could I type out here for contrast? Give me a definition.
Objects are not too similar.
How about different? Okay, objects that are different from one another. Do you guys all agree with that? Anything else you guys want to put on that? If an item contrasts another, it's different than the other, right? Do you guys say that's okay? All right, let's go back to our examples earlier on, oh wait, they're right here. Let's go over to this. Well, yeah, let's do this one. Elements that contrast another. Okay? I need to just put out, list your names. I know it when I see them on here, but I'm totally forgetting right now. Mason, give me an element that shows contrast here.
Black and white.
Black and white? How, where?
Like the black bar where the pictures.
Okay. Does this dark black draw your eyes in this word save? Would you guys say that your eyes are more drawn to the save or to the our life? Who's to the save? Raise your hands. Who's to the our life? Okay, so definitely to save, more people there. And why would that be? Why would you say, Mason? Why are people seeing that right there over our life?
Probably just because the black and white are complete opposites and because they're
they're as far away from each other as you can, right? Okay, in this case, contrast is drawing our attention into that element. Great. So when we're talking contrast here, we can use color to add elements of contrast to our website. All right, does that make sense to everybody? All right, there are definitely a lot of elements of contrast here outside of color, because that same argument would go for this one, you know, this one here, these colors down here. Do you guys feel that, you know, when you have this seconds, it's a little harder to see because it's a light gray? Okay, your eyes are not drawn here, they're drawn up here, again, because of color. All right, what other elements, Jesus, what do you think, show contrast? Now think items, 2 or more items that are close to each other or touching each other that are different from one another. Show some little bit of differentiation. So these shapes down here, do you guys feel that shape can add contrast sometimes? We're using this big black bar kind of in the middle. Looks a little different than everything else. So I'll give you that. We'll do shape as another element of contrast. Anything else on here you guys see? Lena? The image? What do you mean by that?
Like it shows, like it describes the website.
How about white space? Who's ever heard, oops, that's not white, white space. Who's ever heard of white space in here before? What's white space?
I'm not sure there's a web determination, but in art, it's basically the space around the object.
The space around the object. Does it have to be white?
No.
Okay, so the space through here, is this considered white space right through here? Yeah. Does all the space, does this considered white space right now?
No.
Maybe could be, because it's considered almost a background element,
Yeah.
driving your attention to save our life. Possibly, maybe not.
So we're
But
gonna-
in that image before the text comes up right there, or whatever, right there, all the black around the face kind of draws your attention to the face, right? All this kind of space around the word generous here and the logo draws your eye into this generous area. This kind of feels like a background image, kind of like a white space draws your eye into this, main area through here. That might be considered white space. You guys kind of get the point of white space? It contrasts an element and kind of draws your eye in. So white space is definitely a good one. All right. So if you guys have a call to action like a donate now, something like that, add some white space around it, add color contrast, some shape contrast. You guys see that's exactly what they're doing with this donate now button? Okay, do you guys starting to understand why that might draw your eyes into that and maybe click on it? Okay, so you can kind of control some of that movement and eye movement of the page just by these simple principles. All right, there are a lot of other contrast elements still in here. I'm just wondering if somebody can start picking them out for me. I can think of probably like 4 or 5 more. Yeah.
Font size.
Font size. Awesome. Okay. Whoops. Font size. So in here, we definitely have a large font and some smaller fonts in here. We have a larger font here and a smaller font there. And those larger fonts are definitely getting seen more than the smaller fonts. Okay, do you guys all agree with that? Save Our Life is being seen before you guys start reading Save the Children, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, so font size, great. What else? Somebody else said something, font something.
Font type.
Font type, all right, what is a font type?
So it's like Arial and Helvetica.
Okay, you can see that this is a different font than these fonts down here. I think, yep, this is a different font than this font. This is what we call a serif font. Okay. Just look at a quick image here. Okay, that's the difference of a, let's go that one. Looking for a big one. There we go. Do you guys see these little tick marks kind of on the edges here? Okay, that's a serif font. Those are serifs. Sans serifs or without serifs don't have those little tick marks. So when you see something like that, serif versus sans serif font, different classes of families. So font type, absolutely. What else do you guys see on this website? There's more. Case. Font case. What do you mean by that? Uppercase, lowercase. Do you guys see this uppercase font here and here? Uppercase here, lowercase here. You guys see that going on? Okay. The uppercase is helping us, draw our eyes towards this a little bit. It definitely works. Looks a little bit better. So good. Anything else? There's another one I can see right now. I'll just give you a hint. It's font something.
Wait.
Font weight. That's good. Font weight. This is what we're talking about with a bolded font versus a non-bolded font. A big thick font and a non-thick font. This is the same font, but it works well together, okay? Here's my advice for you guys. If you have elements on your page, make them different. Typically, it works better when they're different. Now, not all the time. We can talk about 3 different ways that, well, we're going to talk about the 3 C's really quick. And that is contrast, which we're talking about right now. And I think you guys all have a good idea what that is. Concordant and conflicting, okay? Contrasting, concordant, and conflicting. And let's see if we can find an example of that. There we are. A concordant font typically is a font that's from the same font family. And a concordant font kind of gives a feeling, a softer feeling, kind of a welcoming feeling. Not so edgy like contrast. Contrasts are 2 totally different fonts. They're so different, but they work. They work well. Like this one's a big thick font that's a sans serif font, and this one's a thin little serif font. And this one, are both, similar font, but they look all right, but they're not as edgy as a contrast. A conflicting font is when you have just 2 different fonts that are so away, apart from one another, they just look ugly. They just don't work. Most of the time, they work in contrast. Sometimes they just look stupid, okay? So those are the 3 C's right there: contrast, concordant, conflicting. Repetition. When we're talking repetition, we want to talk about items that are being repeated throughout the page, that add to the level of consistency of the page. So repeated elements that add to the something like that, okay? So we want to look now for items that are being repeated. We could do this one, okay? So look through this page and start telling me what elements you guys feel are being repeated.
Wood.
What?
Wood.
Wood, okay, so definitely a theme of imagery, okay? Anything else come to mind that's being repeated? Okay, so we could say something like images are repeated, or, similar images, and that might mean, there's definitely different classes of photos, high color photos, maybe some black and white photos, a certain, feeling that the photo portrays. So good. So similar images can be used. Anything else that is repeated throughout the piece? Yeah? Color. Excellent. Do you guys see like this white, this brown, and this black? throughout the piece. So there's white background, that black, that same brown, that black, that same brown here, same brown on these icon logo or things over here, same brown, black, white, colors being repeated throughout the piece. Okay. Any other elements that are being repeated? Fonts. Okay, good. Fonts are being repeated throughout the thing. Let me just give you a rule here. No more than 3 fonts ever. Okay, ever. It's good to have 2 fonts because they contrast against one another. It's sometimes okay to go with 3 fonts, one for the logo, maybe one for the H1 through H6 as your header elements, right? And one for the body of your text. That might be acceptable. You go into 4 fonts and all of a sudden it starts looking really cluttered and feeling messy. 5 fonts, you know, the world's pretty much ending, okay? So no more than 3 fonts should be repeated, but repetition of fonts. You guys can see this font right here, that font, actually I'm a fat liar, it doesn't go anywhere else. That's unique to this right here. You can see this feeling, this font right here, being repeated down through. Do you guys notice that the shape of what we do, this line, what we do, or sorry, our latest projects line, what our clients say line, latest news line, that is being repeated and consistent throughout the site. It's really important that you add those items of consistent design throughout your website. If you get down here and you have a totally different background and it's a color you've never used before, it starts looking really bad, okay? You want to be consistent throughout the whole site. I had one student one time thought that they were super awesome, and for every single page you went on after it, it had a totally different color scheme, totally different logo, and it felt like a totally new page every time, and it was the same page. But as I jumped through different things, projects, or pages, do you guys feel that same consistent repetition throughout the website? Okay, so that's what we're talking about when we talk repetition. Be consistent. Okay, any questions on repetition? Alignment is the one that most students get in trouble with on their final project. All right, I see problems with alignment all over the place. Let me do a quick little practice on the board here. I'm going to mute that really fast. And this is one I like to do sometimes in my beginner classes. We're going to make a website here. Okay, and I'll put a logo out right here, and maybe, I don't know, we'll have a navigation, something there, and then we'll have a slider that comes in right here, maybe like some different like circles that have, you know, some like a picture on them or something, and like some text. And just a little bit of text here, and something there. It's good. Let's do like just one more image down below, or something like that, and some text that comes to its side. I probably should have ended this web page when I did. And then we'll just do like a footer. I don't know, something here, a little piece of text, and then some stuff right there before we end. So, does that work for you guys for a website?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are jerks. I love this website, okay? Just kidding. No, but what problems do you guys see going on here?
Alignment.
The alignment. Is that what you're going to say?
I was gonna say it looks cluttered.
It looks cluttered, okay? Aligning your elements or aligning your site really can help your content out. If we take the same website, let me get another marker. I don't think it's black. Now let's do another version, same thing, okay? First thing I want you to recognize, you're not being consistent on any kind of these heights or spacing. Okay, you see how wide that is right there, and you've got like nothing over here. Okay, so let's look at some of those and let's be consistent. First thing we want to do is almost kind of design a site that has some consistency on it. So probably put my logo right there, something like that. Okay, and my navigation, I want it to align above the same as my logo. Okay, do you guys see that? Over here on this side, this width equals that. This height equals that width as well. And, you know, kind of adds that repetition of, you know, spacing throughout your page. If I have this slider underneath, I want it to align with these items that are above it as well. I have these 3 circles. It's probably important to have them evenly aligned and spaced among that. You see how this is all screwy down here? All right, I probably want to have each of those, you know, same width, something like that. Probably could have made those bigger and closer together, to be honest with you, because that logo up here doesn't really align well with that. Do you guys see that? It's actually another problem. I probably should have made this a little bit larger, but just know that I'm recognizing that issue. We make this image, it should probably align with these two, like a 2/3, 1/3 of those. And I can go through and then put out my text essentially to align with this one, which should be a little bit wider too. And then my footer, you know, something along those lines. I could make it, you know, a 1/3, something like that. I could do 2/3 text or something through there. But you see how the alignment can kind of clean things up a little bit more, all right? Often what I see in my final projects are students that have these things kind of swinging off the side or, you know, kind of around the page, and it looks ugly. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, and you space these a little bit, and it's going to, you know, make your stuff just look good really quick. All right? So that's your alignment right there, all right? Let's get to the next one, proximity. Now I'm going to, well, alignment is lining elements to create visual unity. With some of those, even though you can't really see it, there are lines being drawn, you know, kind of invisible lines to align everything up against, you know, the left edge or the right edge or the top or things like that. Sorry, didn't turn on the projector here. So we have proximity now, and proximity is grouping related items together. All right, so let me find an example of that. Hang on one second here. I'm going to break this, and I just want you guys to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so this item right here, I'm going to go ahead, let's make quality products, and I'm going to go ahead and put a margin top. Nope, that didn't work. Apply to this. We'll do that, okay? Does that item make quality products feel like it is part of the website or part of that list? Or did it make it feel like it's on its own? Okay? This is what I'm talking about, putting related items together. If you had a menu and then all of a sudden the last, you know, 2 items here were broken off into a new line or some serious spacing in between or something like that, they wouldn't feel like a main menu anymore. It wouldn't make it feel like it was part of that. And so when we talk about proximity, you know, you need to group these items together that belong together. If I took this indoor furniture out and that was gone and you had outdoor over here and these 2 over here, this would feel like a totally separate category for some reason. Okay? If this repairing was aligned over here, it wouldn't feel like these were all part of the same thing. It would feel like this is a separate option, for the website. So when we talk about proximity, that's what I mean. Okay, keeping items that belong together, aligned together, similar, colors and things like that. And so these are your principles of design, CRAP. So when I talk about CRAP, remember what those are and what they basically do, because you're going to be held accountable for implementing those on your own pages when you guys start doing your own. Okay, and that will be, your design's probably like a month and a half. I think you guys will be doing those designs on your own. You can kind of go down through. Let's see here. Let's do another exercise quick. I'm going to build a page, okay? And on my site, I don't know, maybe I'm not that person, but let's just say I am, that I like to write, okay? And I just write all day long, and so I'm going to, write and write my text like so, okay? Ignore my lines are not the straightest when I'm trying. I'm going to align them next to one another. Okay, so while I'm finishing this up, think back to when you guys used to read magazines. Anybody still read magazines on a regular basis? Have you have a subscription? What do you have a subscription to there?
Car and Driver.
Car and Driver. And have you ever run across an article that looks like this, or a page on the magazine? Have you? Do you read that? Do you just immediately dive right into that content and you're like, this is awesome? Okay.
Not really.
Does anybody actually ever read? Like, even you surfing a website and you see a page, it's just like text galore. Who's reading it? We are visual learners, people. Okay. We don't like this. I'm not going to read this. I remember seeing, I'd go through a magazine or something, and page. I'm like, whoa, it keeps going. What is this all about? I'm not going to read that. So how do we encourage people to read this? What kinds of things can we do to this in order to help people read the content? I have a great story, okay? Great story of me taking on a dragon or something, and it's amazing and obviously true. What am I going to do to this to encourage people to read it? Pictures of a dragon. Heck yes, I can. All right. All right. So let's erase this right here, and I'm going to put a picture of me fighting a dragon. All right. I'm not even gonna try. Like Trogdor. You guys remember Trogdor? It's got a muscle. You go look up Trogdor, okay? Trogdor! Nation. And there's Curl. Die, you stupid dragon. Okay, there's a castle up over here. That's a castle. It's a good thing this isn't an art class, because I'm not that person. Okay? So, me killing Trogdor. Are we all going to read it now?
No.
There's a pretty good chance of Trogdor. I'm just saying. But anything else? Anything else we can do to this to make this more legible and easier to read? Yeah.
I always start by separating like-minded ideas into cards.
Okay. What does that mean exactly when we're trying to make this easier to read?
Okay, probably haven't shown a card. Split it. Use horizontal rulings, I guess, would be.
So I could break it up into sections with some rulers? Okay, so different chapters or something?
Yeah.
I'm going to do that in a second, all right? Any other ideas? Yeah?
Have less text.
Less text?
Yeah.
I can't cut down my story. I'm going to cut out the best part. I'm going to leave my story the same, okay? I mean, I can do a page 2 though if you want, and a page 3. Okay, but they're all gonna be kind of like the same unless you tell me another way to style this.
You have a caption
I could have a caption. What do you mean by that?
with another picture describing it.
Okay, so, all right, I'll take this line out here, and I'm gonna write, you know, Matt killing Trogdor. Okay? Caption.
You could throw in, sometimes I see a lot when I read articles, they'll have like a quote from the article really big.
Okay. I'm gonna do that one in a second. I'm waiting for somebody else to throw one more out there. What do newspapers do in order to make this a little bit more legible?
Heading, title.
All right, I'll throw a heading in there. I didn't do that, so, all right. You know, Trogdor, and we'll do like a subheading or something. The day Matt killed a dragon. Okay. Might read it now. Okay. Anything else you guys would do to this? Anything else that newspapers do to make big bodies of text easier to read?
Columns.
Columns. There you go. I was waiting for somebody to say that. Columns make it tons easier. And with columns, I'm going to implement 2 other things that were said. This board does not erase very well, guys. Maybe in this section, I'm going to break that apart, and we'll kind of have like a style, something where the story kind of was broken up, like he was saying. We could have, you know, like a quote here, you know, blah, 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 Matt kills Trogdor, or whatever, okay? You guys kind of get where we're going with this? A couple other things you could do. Bullet lists. Let's be honest, when websites or different things come up, you guys almost always drift to bullet lists, don't you? Okay? You gotta like get away from long lines of text. Okay? No one reads a long line of text. Especially on a wide screen monitor, you got this long thing going across. No one's doing it, guys. Break it up some columns, put some pictures in there, put some like, you know, text or something to break stuff up, put some quotes or something, some captions, some small images. Kind of get where we're going with this? Okay, you can make a long body of text a little bit easier to read. We should probably also break this up into short paragraphs, you know, like that's the beginning of one, and you know, that's one there or something, and kind of go through and, you know, indent those or whatever, and make it a little bit easier to read. Okay? Let's erase this because I think the monitor's going to go right on top of it. You guys, for your homework tonight is to go look up Trogdor and watch the original awesomeness. Michaela, it might have been even before you were born. I'm not going to lie to you. So, just kidding. Okay, that's not coming off. Apparently, I used a good marker. All right, let's keep going. All right, so short headings, stuff like that. When we're talking font sizes, we're going to get into font sizes later on, but a font size for a monitor is different than a font size for a phone, okay? The pixel width of your mobile device is different than the pixel width on, you know, a large monitor, something like that. And so often what you can use is you can use like a font size 100, you can use a font size 1M, you can use a font size, and we're going to talk about what these different units of measurements are. But rather than doing a pixel amount that will change depending on the resolution, you can say basically use the browser defaults, use a medium-sized font or something like that. And again, we'll talk about that. But that will help make stuff a little bit easier to read and so forth. Couple other things. All right, I'm going to take this page, and I'm going to goof with it, and I'm going to I'm going to do something to it here really quick. Hang on a sec here, guys. All right, so I've done two things to this. I want you guys to tell me what they are. Okay, couple hands up. Give some time before we give it up. Okay, New York, what do you think?
Is it that little thing on the top is slanted?
Nope, no, I didn't do that. That was slanted before. Okay, just look at the content. Yeah,
Did you move one of the pictures out of
nope, no, that's still there. Yeah,
Yeah, everything kind of seems like compressed.
nope, still the same. It's not no different than what I had before. Now, one thing I want you to point out, there's two mistakes I made here. I actually went through and wrecked the page on two separate things. And I wanted to see if anybody can just see these and pick these out. Garrett?
Spelling, you're welcome.
Spelling, okay? Have you guys ever been reading a website and ran across some grammar or some spelling errors? What does that do to the credibility of that website? Yeah, it really kills it, right? Yeah.
The Hood website, they misspell furniture.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. I was kind of hoping that welcome would throw you off. I took the C off of welcome, so it says wellome for one issue. So that's the first thing. Check your spelling before you guys send it out, all right, or publish online, because it really can kill the credibility of your site like that. I mean, people just don't, can't take you serious if you don't know how to spell a simple header like welcome or something like that. Does anybody else see another problem in here? I did one other thing to it. Another thing that I don't like, it's not spelling, it's not grammar, and it's somewhere within this little section right there. No, it's the same. This is an easy one, or it's a hard one maybe for some of you guys. These click here's. Avoid these click here's, okay? Like click here to buy some flowers is what I put into the page. What you want to do is you want to have something that said, we offer great prices on flowers, and you make flowers or prices or great prices on flowers or something the link that you click on, okay? Avoid the click here to do something else. Also, not only that, but avoid doing stuff like, let me mess one more thing up here. Oops, didn't take. Well, I'm not going to do it. Sorry, it's taking longer than I thought. Avoid linking an entire paragraph. Okay, that should not be a link. All right, a big block of text. If you're getting over like 4 or 5 words, your link's too long. All right, that click here, avoid that. You'd want something like, welcome to our flower shop, and you could have flower shop be a link, and you could go in and buy some flowers or something like that. Okay, so check your spelling. Avoid really long sentences, things like that. You want to link keywords. We're going to learn, well, no, we're not going to learn. If you guys come take like my internet marketing class, I give we talk all about how to all the indicators that search engines use to rank sites higher than others, so you guys can get more traffic to your site, and more traffic hopefully equals more sales and more conversions, and reaching your goals and all those things. And there's a whole science in keyword clicking and keyword optimization, some different things there. What I could tell you for right now, keywords linking like pastel, floral, WordPress theme or something like that. Search engines see that, and anytime people type out pastel, floral, WordPress theme, or possibly a WordPress theme or something like that, you might rank for some of those. Big science in there, but keywords, you want to link those together. There's something, I'm going to cover this fast, but it doesn't really matter anymore. Web safe colors. Back in the day when we had monitors with low color count, there were web safe colors that you could use, and these are them, and these are their hex codes and their RGB values. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on, but basically we knew that if you use this color, it would show up the way that it was intended. Wait, let's do 256 color game. Does anybody remember? I know you guys are younger, but you guys, I genuinely remember playing this game right here on Space Quest. Anybody, King's Quest at all? Anybody play that? Any of these old games that had low color counts. Maybe you have like an old Sega or something, and sitting around, you plug it in, and they're just like butt ugly. Okay? You could get colors by putting other colors next to each other, but you only had 256 colors to choose from. And so we basically said, here's a color palette that you can use, that if you use these colors, they are going to appear the way we intended them to work, right? Let's be honest, that was like decades ago. Nobody does that. It doesn't really matter. It mattered for a little while because we saw some cell phones come out that could really only display a certain amount of colors. You guys remember your flip phones? All right, those had a low color count. If you were on the web with one of those, this mattered. That's why I say today it doesn't really matter so much anymore. But it is a thing to be aware of, I guess. When you guys are going through images, it's important to anti-aliasing. Let's talk about that. Anti-aliasing, maybe you guys have seen this in games, is where you have a font or an image or something, and one's really jaggedy and the other one's smoothed out. And the way that those are smoothed out is you can see these little gray tags on the end. Make sure you're anti-aliasing your images. They just look a little bit better. We're going to talk about here in a second when that doesn't actually work. I think. Maybe not. I think we'll talk about that in another lecture. That's what we're going to do. So anti-aliasing is a big thing you need to look for. You also need to optimize your images. Web Image Optimizer. Let's look at a few of these really quick. This right here, okay, is I take this line. This is the original image, and whoops, sorry, should probably work. And I slide over. Does anybody actually notice a difference between those? Can you guys see any differences at all? Okay, this image over here, the original, is 467 kilobits, bytes, I think. And then the 172 is it's gone through the image optimizer and has actually optimized that down to be seen better. One thing I see in a lot of students is they'll pull up their final project and we'll all pull it up at the same time, and I see this image slowly going, slowly downloading, the image is coming down, then we'll end right here, and then maybe we get a new wood lamp that comes through and it starts all over again. Or these images are like, and what happened is they took this image with like their, digital SLR or whatever, and it's this crazy huge 5,000 pixel image, massive, like 3 megs, and it's slowly, coming on the screen. And so you need to run it through an optimizer like this and resize it down, and it will actually make the file load faster. And the reason we do that is mostly because of mobile optimization. If you guys go pull open like Google Site Speed Test Tool, and let's go on that quick link. Let's go to dixie.edu and run Dixie across the page. You can see that, first off, compression. We need to compress some stuff. Response time of the server is a big issue. I need one that breaks more. It's one for images I'm trying to think of. I don't know, what's a good, let's go cit.dixie.edu, see if they're optimized at all. Brian probably optimized this. But what happens is if you have large images, it slows your server down, and you actually will rank lower on a search engine because of it. And they want fast, quick load times on their pages, and they'll help you out quite a bit. No, they're not really doing it. Oh, yeah, here we are. Optimize images, and you can see that there's some images on here, these loader sprites and CIT mobile words, and you can see that this next could, be reduced, and this DSU logo could be reduced, and so forth. And so you can kind of see what the page looks like, but it needs to be reduced down in size significantly. So speeds are really important. What we didn't talk about is your navigation. Let me talk about that fast. Two main forms of navigation. We have what's called a we have what's called a hierarchy, okay? And in this hierarchy, you might have, sub-pages, something like that. And this is your home, and from your home, you're going to go out. I'm not really on the screen here. You might have like about us and contact us and different things, and on those you might have subpages below. Okay. The problem that happens is you might have a page like this, and you just got a ton of content. Say tons of content. Let's think eBay or something, and you're drilling down to a new iPhone and a certain carrier and certain size, a certain color. And there's all kinds of pages you're digging down to. You get pretty low. All right. What's the problem with something like this? What happens if you get down there and you realize I wanted the Samsung Galaxy instead? Okay. What do? What happens if you go down and all of a sudden you get lost? This is like some deep content about something. You're searching some scholarly research paper or something, and you're down deep, and you might get lost. Like it's hard to figure out. This is what we call a deep hierarchical layout. If we've got a contrast out of deep, we can also get a shallow where you have all kinds of sub pages off of it, and on your main navigation you have like 15 different icons. What's the problem with this? It gets cluttered. There's too much. All right. There's a shallow. There's a deep. Typically with deep, what you find is you don't have a lot of links. You have like maybe 2 links, and they go crazy low. You really want a good balance between the two of them. Does that make sense? That's your hierarchical layout. There's another one out there. So that's the first. Markers and phrases are bad. Where you go to the home, and it leads to another page, and it leads to another page, and it leads to another page, and it leads to another page. And if you ever pulled up like XKCD, it's a comic book, and you can just go through all the different comics. This is what we call linear layout, menu layout. And then we also have another one, which is random. It might jump around the site, different things. You can kind of like picture a day kind of stuff, just jumping all around. Don't really see those that often, but you need to know about hierarchical. Rules I'll give you. The 3-click rule. Should be able to get to anywhere on the entire website within 3 clicks. If you're going over 3 clicks, you're doing it wrong. Okay? Should be able to get to anywhere in 3 clicks. It's the first rule. Second is 5 to 9 menu items. If you're going less than 5 main menu items, it starts looking like thin content. Looks like you really don't have a whole lot there. A lot of students have problems with thin content. They'll have like a home, they'll have an about, they'll have a contact, that's it. And I'm like, what's the point of coming to this website other than learning about you? Do you actually have some content to serve up? Thin content gets demoted down search engines, okay? If you have more than that, you're kind of getting into this, you know, this type of, you know, clutter. You know, there's so many menu items, it's hard to see, and you know, it's hard to take all that in. 5, 9 menu items, 3-click rule. Those 2 are super important. Any questions on those? Okay. Just make sure there's anything else I want to cover here. Oh, yeah, there is. Before we get out of here, because we're about done, I want to talk about wireframes, what they are. When you guys are building websites, a lot of students just go right in and design the page, okay? And let's say I design this page and I want this whole section to be 3 columns and down here and to be vertical, and I no longer want this bar to go all the way across but partially. And I look at the code and I look at this hot mess of code, and what you guys will find is it's going to take a long time to make those simple changes, okay? And so the point of wireframes, first, when I'm getting an idea, I'll just get a piece of paper and I will sketch out just like some blank squares on where I want to put everything. From there, I'll open up an editor like Illustrator or something like that, and I'll quickly just, you know, jaunt out one of these little wireframes and kind of put these boxes and some filler text like that Lorem Ipsum we used on the page. And from this, you know, you can kind of see what the site's going to start looking like. And if I want to make this a 2-column layout or a 4-column layout, it's really easy to do. You know, I just take the editor and I just draw some more boxes and we're done. But in code, that's like that couple little changes are going to literally translate into hours. Then from here, I'll take my site and I will I'll do a mock-up. And a mock-up is just a graphical version. I'll take those wireframes and I'll put images in there and colors and actual text, what it'll look like before I ever even touch the code, okay? And then from there, if I'm happy with this design, okay, then I take this design and I go to code with that, okay? This is the design process. This is how you guys go about design. If you guys have ever done any consulting or designing or anything before, SketchUps, right, before you do stuff. You know, some prototypes, things like that before you go to implementation. Because this right here might be a 50-hour project to design. And if you get it wrong the first time in code, you've got to go spend another 50 hours to fix it. When I can spend 1 hour and see exactly what it's going to look like in a mock-up if I do my sketches, my wireframes, my mock-ups, and then go to code. So that is the process and the order you need to build your sites. And I'm going to hold everybody accountable for that in here. When you guys are building your own out, I want to see some SketchUps. I want to see some mock-ups and some wireframes before you get to it. Your homework, well, actually, one other thing we're going to go through. Website best practices. There's a lot of these out here. There's one the book uses that the author put together. It's a good checklist of best practices. You know, page layout. Is it appealing to the target audience? Consistent logo header. Consistent navigation. As you kind of go down through these, they're kind of like a checklist that you can use on what is good design for a web page. So I would definitely go here. Again, you're going to be held accountable for this, for your final designs on your final project here in a few months when we have those presentations in front of the class. So make sure you're looking at these and making sure, you know, all internal hyperlinks, external hyperlinks work, and so forth. Question?
I'm just
Stretching.
stretching.
Good. All right. With that, I think that's it. Do you guys have any other questions you have for me? Okay. Well, we'll end the video here then.